welcome to my channel, Bobo Bums So Vintage Life. I'm Lisa. I'm a vintage inspired dressmaker and dressmaking teacher. I absolutely love sharing my passion for all things sewing and creative, especially vintage inspired makes and my vintage inspired wardrobe with you. So if you're joining me for the first time, big hello, that's who I am. And if you're coming back for a bit more, then thank you very much, and it's lovely having you here. In today's vlog, I'm going to talk through where I get some of my vintage inspiration from that helps me create the garments that I do, and how I go about that basically. I've made myself a cuppa in my lovely Pixieland mug. I think that's just so beautiful. So hopefully you will do the same, and if you're watching this later, you will grab another beverage of choice. So pull up a chair and enjoy. I'll be back in a moment. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, the main source of inspiration for what I want to wear comes from watching period dramas and old movies. I'm a terror. I mean, I've absolutely love watching them from the story. I have an English degree and I used to lecture English literature, so I have a huge passion for drama and literature. Chuck a bit of poetry into. I am a sucker for a bit of poetry, but it's harder to make a garment from poetry. But someone may disagree with me and prove me wrong. Anyway, I love watching the old dramas and obviously the remakes, you know, for the period dramas. Absolute source of inspiration for clothes of that period. So I often find I'm not really listening to the plot because I'm examining a particular garment or trying to take a screenshot of it, and thinking, how was it constructed? I mean, even when we went to the theatre last summer and we went to see Anything Goes, we were in the front row. So, I mean, I literally could almost see up the skirts of some of the dancers, but I was that close I could see sort of the hems and the finishes. So yeah, I was sort of deconstructing those at the same time. When we go out for dinner, you know, sometimes I have that faraway look and my partner will say to me, you're actually looking at her dress to see how it's made, aren't you? He kind of now gets that sort of faraway look in my eye. It's a bit frustrating to be known that well, but he knows that's what I'm doing, sort of putting it all away, storing it all away in my head. So I'm thinking the most recent example of me doing this was catching up on the current season 4 of the marvellous Mrs Maisel. I mean, there's just too much, isn't there, to take in with Mrs Maisel. Total source of inspiration. Now, it starts in 1960. I'm not a real lover of 60s fashion, but obviously this is just on the cusp, you know, just turning from the 50s to the 60s. So we've still got some elements of that design in there. Now, I think it's in the 3rd episode. I'll see if I can find some stills of it for you. I will do my best. I have done some drawings, so I will show you. This is my sketchbook here, and I do my drawings of things I want to make. I've got some lovely colourful pages in here. Just try to show you some of them, you know, so I draw up and write down the sort of patterns I think that would make what I want to create. Now, it's a very brief glimpse of this dress. Midge goes into, Joel, that's it, her husband, Joel's bar in Chinatown, and she turns up to talk to him one night. She's got a black dress that's got a V-back, so can you see this here, the front and the back, with a pink skirt, and there's like a black bow on the skirt. I might hold that up. So I thought, I mean, I absolutely loved it, and I thought, well, actually, the Charm Patterns Hepburn top would really create that. It's got the V-back, it's a jersey top, and then the Stanwyck skirt in a pink. So I was already doing this thought while I was watching it. I think I have to re-watch drama to actually follow the story, because if I do watch things again with other people, I suddenly think, I don't remember any of this. So I realised I was so far away in my head thinking about the clothes. And there was another garment, I think, when she goes on stage as the MC at the Burlesque Club, which I just think is just wonderful. I love that, and I love how she got all the strippers to do like a thing like Bob Fosse at the end of Sweet Charity, how they all posed and moved about, you know. I mean, it's just marvellous direction and such fun. But she wore this black dress. I mean, this drawing doesn't really sum it up, but it was a simple bodice with a skirt with dropped sort of side panels and a flat front, very like the Wearing History Leslie skirt, I thought. So I thought, yeah, that'd be easy to recreate. That's what I do. I see garments in these period dramas, and often when I see vintage patterns as well, and then I think, what patterns do I know that I can pattern hack together to recreate that look? Rather than absolutely drafting my own, I literally, I mean, some makes I've got about 5 patterns all within that creation to create the look I'm after. That's part of the fun for me, you know, sort of jigsawing it all together. While we're talking about Mrs Maisel, I mean, gosh, this is so heavy, this book. I don't know if you've all seen this. I got this for my birthday, which is the 29th of December. Said to my mum, that's what I want. And it's the costumes of the marvellous Mrs Maisel. It's called Madly Marvellous. I mean, you know, weighs a ton. So I was thrilled. This is sort of like the Christmas annual for grown-ups, which is absolutely delightful when you go through it. I mean, just give you an idea of some of the pages, but it goes through all the costumes, drawings, discusses it. And I put this on my Instagram feed when I got it, you know, to let other people know about it. I know quite a few people went off and bought it too. But yeah, there's absolute inspiration there. Then there's no taking screenshots and trying to, you know, remember what the heck you saw and doing. I mean, I'm not the best at drawing. I went to art college, but I was never great at drawing. I just kind of get the ideas down. So this book's just marvellous as a resource. That sounded really funny. A resource. I meant a resource. Now I can't say the word. The more you think about words, you can't say it, can you? So yeah, marvellous Mrs Maisel. I mean, there's just too much to take on, but dear me, it's just wonderful. I mean, Midge's coats alone, the colours, the styles, you know, having a coat to go with almost every outfit, which I'd love, but I just do not have the storage space. Yeah, if we had a big dressing room, I know I would go crazy, bonkers, nuts, but we don't have the storage, so I have to hold back a little bit. I know we're meant to be being sustainable, but I do know I'd wear it all and I'd love it all for years and years. But yeah, don't have the space, so I have to be good. But I do want to make a coat along the lines of one of Midge Maisel's coats. Oh, and if you're seeing my nails, I'm really sorry, they look so chippy and awful. I normally like to paint them so they look rather glamorous and lovely for my vlogs. But I'm going to the Stitch Festival tomorrow, and so I want to make them all fresh and lovely for that, so I thought I'd do that a bit later. So sorry if you're looking at tatty hands, but it's reality, isn't it? Can't be gorgeous and glamorous all the time. So let's talk about coats. And if you watch me enough, you'll get the feeling of the fact that I do just wander off. My brain just goes all over the place, but we get back to where we're going to, and there'll be some hopefully interesting stories on the way. So I want to make the coat, and I saw another period film. It's set in 1924 called Mothering Sunday from Graham Swift's novel of the same name. Absolutely beautiful film, dealing with how people deal with the loss from the First World War, you know, and the repercussions it has for all of them. So it's, yeah, it's very sort of sombre feel to the film, and about this young girl Jane who's trying to find herself. And she wears this red coat in 1924 with a beautiful teal colour hat. The two colours bounce off each other beautifully. So it's a 1924 coat, you know, that sort of buttons over, and then it's got, you know, the deep, I'm trying to think, it's sort of like a band, you know, buttoned band at the back to hold it in. And it's sort of, you know, hip length. And then later in the film, which I think is late 40s, she's got a same colour red jacket on. So the red is very symbolic of her. And I think it's about the power of her character. It's about love and passion, and I think that's what the red coat symbolises. It did to me anyway. But I got really caught up with the red of this colour rather than the designs of the coat. And then when I was in my local fabric store, I saw they've got this, it's a quilting cotton. It was this one, exactly the same red that I remember from the film, you know, and red is, it's really important to get it right. For me, it's like with my lipstick. It took me ages to find the right shade of red. This is, to me, is a blue red, you know, it's poster paint red. I don't like orangey reds. Brown reds are okay, but you know, the bluey poster paint reds are my favourite. You know, they've got the real deep hue, and that's what this is. Now I've bought enough to make a dress as well, because I've had in my head I really want a red dress. Often don't make enough just plain things because it's all the florals and the prints that I get drawn to. But I found my red, so I'm going to make myself a coat. And I've had this pattern for a while, and I'll put these up, you know, so you can see them as well in better pictures. But it's Simplicity 8731, and it's called a manteau, which I love the French word manteau. I might just get something actually, because I've remembered something else I've got. I didn't get ready. Oh, where are we? Sewing vintage 1950s clothes. I don't know if you'd have heard me over there. Sorry if I wandered off and you got an awful bum shot. But I've got this book, Making 1950s Clothes for Women. And in it, it's got the most marvellous coats. I'll just flick through because this wasn't pre-prepared. So it's called the manteau coat. And you'll never get to this page, will you, if you're not prepared. There we go. So it's this coat. Should have just shown you the cover because it's on the cover. It's absolutely marvellous. So I'm also looking at that thinking that would be rather wonderful to do as well. Or do this pattern. It's got a lovely sort of back pleat and a bow on it. So I'm going to make those. I think they'll be lovely to put over my full dresses. And it sort of goes along with my love in Call the Midwife. You know, they have some other lovely coats. I'm probably being noisy with these pages flopping, aren't I? Here it is, that's the coat I found there as well, in this book from Call the Midwife. It's the official companion to series 1 and 2. Now Call the Midwife is another programme I absolutely love. I know so many of you do. I mean, the storylines are fantastic. This is very early on, Jenny with a lovely linen coat. See, I really have wanted for a long time to recreate that lovely 1950s coat. Going back to Call the Midwife, honestly, I mean, just looking at the extras, not just the main characters, but looking at the extras, I love just even the fabric. I think I want to pull that out of the screen so I can sew with that fabric. Trixie is my main squeeze on Call the Midwife, although I did really like Patsy. Her hair, you know, her flame red hair was just stunning. They dressed her fabulously. But Trixie running throughout, I mean, she's the epitome of style and glamour, and of course she loves clothes. So I've got lots of screenshots saved of Trixie's outfits that I would like to recreate one day. They're all stored away in my head. I was just thinking there's another book down here somewhere else. I just pick books up wherever I can. This is Good Housekeeping, the best of the 1950s. And I'll put some images up for you. But, you know, it's got some lovely pictures in here that are from the Good Housekeeping magazine, you know, that are just fabulous inspiration. I collect vintage magazines for the stills as well as the vintage patterns. So I think it's the problem, isn't it, of too many ideas and not enough time to recreate them all. So it's just deciding which ones I will do first and when I get to them all. The other things that have always stayed with me for inspiration are the Darling Buds of May. Now, I love loads of clothes in there, but I think for the Darling Buds of May, and I'm talking about the original one, not the newer one, the Larkins, although I will mention that in a moment. The Darling Buds of May, it's about the nostalgia. There's something about the world they recreate in that programme that very much reminds me of my 70s childhood. I was born in 1968, so I grew up in the early 60s. And it was still quite an old-fashioned world in many ways, and I grew up in the countryside, you know, so you had the local shops, you know, you had the fishmonger come round, the ice cream man came, everyone knew each other. We went up to the local farm where you just went out on the field and picked your own strawberries and then got them weighed, or, you know, you went out to the farmer to get the veg you wanted. Yeah, it was simpler times, and as children we'd literally just run over to the fields and play. I mean, it's unbelievable now, because I never let my children on my sight in that way, but my mum would say, have you seen them? And somebody would say, oh yeah, I've seen them climbing that tree in so-and-so's field or whatever. It all just seemed quite safe and innocent, and the Darling Buds of May sums up that sort of time for me in many ways. So yeah, I love it for so many reasons. The story's fabulous and fun, the gorgeous clothes. Yeah, so it just inspires me, and I think in truth it has to be a lot of the reason why I love wearing vintage clothes. I always have done all my life. Used to go to jumble sales as a teenager, you know. I remember picking a cream mohair coat, a 1960s one, from a jumble sale when I was about 14, 15, and I thought I looked like Kim Novak in it. So it kind of goes back a long way, and I was lucky to have aunts that passed on their 1950s clothes to me, so this love has always been there. And then from watching the old black and white movie on a Sunday afternoon with my mum, must have a sip of coffee before it goes cold, excuse me one moment. Now, I might be a bit of a sweary head in my own real life. I let them slip sometimes on my vlogs and my videos, but manners is very important, so I will say excuse me one moment. So yeah, just this whole world of the past and vintage inspiration. Now, I was talking to you about Darling Buds of May, but then there's the newer version that came out, the Larkins, and I was a bit sniffy at first. I thought nothing's, excuse me, nothing is going to compare to Pop Larkin, you know, David Jason and Pam Ferris as Ma Larkin. They're just the top. No one can compare to them. Even when I read the books, you know, it's them I see. So I thought, I'm not going to watch this, I'm not going to like it. And then I delved in and watched one, and I thought, no, it's not right. But I gave the second one a go, and then I realised it was totally different. They'd gone for a different feel, and it just bounced along. And do you know what's wrong in these days for wanting a bit of escapism and joy? That's why I love watching them. All Creatures Great and Small is another place that we find our absolute escape and joy. There's just too many period dramas. They uplift the soul. It's another reason for watching them. So I stuck with the Darling Buds of May, and there was one episode where Ma Larkin, I'm trying to remember her name, Joanna Scanlon's character, she was wearing this dress that was white with bright pink, you know, hot pink roses all over it. And I recognised it as a fabric that I'd already made a dress from in blue colourway. I didn't know there was a pink version. I got a bit fixated on the fabric. And then I found the fabric at Jenny Stitcher's Fabric. I may have shown you this on previous posts, I don't know. So yeah, I got this absolutely glorious fabric. I'm hiding out my face, hiding behind the fabric. It's absolutely gorgeous cotton lawn in hot pink roses. So I'm going to make myself a 50s sundress with that. So I know the design, that will be coming out. So it's not always that the period dramas inspire the actual look. They'll lead me to recreate, say, with the fabric, or, you know, little details, that type of thing. It's all there. I did some really interesting lives with Charlotta at Charlotta's pattern cutting school. We plan to do some more in the future. We've just been so busy with other things. But we did 3 lives looking at how she would draft a pattern and how I source the patterns from different places to recreate a particular look. And we looked at Rebecca from the Hitchcock film and the more contemporary version. We looked at The Pursuit of Love, which was on our TVs last year. You know, Nancy Mitford wrote the novel from Pursuit of Love. And we looked at the Durrells, you know, from My Creatures, what is it, My Family and Other Animals, not Creatures, I thought My Family and Other Animals. So we looked at those 3 dramas individually, and we picked some key garments from them to talk about. Really loved that, and I know they were really enjoyed by the people that did watch those. So we intend to get back to dissecting those. It's great to give you inspiration. I do know some of my followers on Instagram, they'll message me to say that they've even gone to get the patterns that I've suggested or the same fabric to recreate the look. So it's not that I'm thinking in a big-headed way, oh fantastic, you know, they're copying me, or, you know, annoyed they're copying me. I think wonderful, because I know my sharing has helped somebody else have some ideas about what they want to do, and that's what it's about. I hope to inspire you as well with your sewing and your ideas, just sharing my love and my passion for it all. So yeah, I just want to create an aesthetic for a nostalgic world that I want to live in, really. A world where women have equal rights, a world where we don't have any worries or bothers, and people are happy. And it's summer all the time, I think, too. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I am a bit of a daydreamer. I'm very much real and in the now, but I'm also a daydreamer. So if sewing allows us to daydream and create the fantasy world that we want to live in and have a wardrobe that makes us happy every day, there is nothing wrong with that in my book. So I hope you've enjoyed my wee foray into where I get my inspiration from. I mean, I could talk at length about this, but yeah, you only need a dip in, don't you? So that's me for today, and I will be back another time very soon with more of the ideas and things that I want to talk to you about. Yeah, I chose today's video by saying to my younger daughter, should I talk about this today? And she said, yes, I think that's a good idea. So that's why you're getting this today. So thank you very much for joining me over here, and I shall see you next time. If you enjoy what I'm doing, either hit the bell for the notifications, subscribe so you know when I'm coming up next time. I love to know what you think, so put a comment and I will reply. They mean a lot to me to know what you think. Yeah, it's funny, so put this out and I know you've enjoyed it, but it's nice to know what you think and get some feedback too. So if you have got a moment, I hugely appreciate you taking the time. That's really lovely. So thank you for joining me, and that's me for now. So I will see you next time.